you have fire in your gut? Okay, we're here for a reason to win games. So if you didn't have that fire in your gut, you better light the fire pretty fast.
Light that fire. Welcome back to Shaving Points Podcast. My name is Jayden May, joined as always by my co-host Quentin Crisco. How we doing that, Quentin?
Rocking, living, doing it all. You know, having a great time. I went 7-0. It doesn't get much better than that. Like that is the dream.
I went positive.
Yeah, you were 4-3, I think.
4-3, 0.4 units. It's been a rough start. You had a great week. I really thought Washington was going to come through for me. They did not. Baltimore came through for you. Favorites are absolutely on fire. And luckily, this week, I don't have a single favorite.
I think I've got one. Yeah, I've got one favorite this week. So if you're sitting there going, you went 7-0 betting all favorites? Yeah, I did. And I was nervous as hell about it the whole time. I was like, I got too many. I can't bet all favorites. And I was like, they all make sense. I'm doing it.
They don't have to make sense when they make dollars. Cha-ching!
Right. That's right. Cha-ching, caw, it all fits. We're not sleeping on the Arizona Cardinals. But you want to get into this week's NFL slate, Jay?
Yeah, Devontae Adams is a Jet.
He is. He is. Who could have seen that coming?
I don't know.
Do you think he's going to have a Taco Bell in his house in New York?
He's got enough money for it.
All right. Why don't we get this started up with Broncos Saints?
Yeah, Broncos Saints. Thursday night football. Saints are 1.5 point underdogs at home with 36.5 point total here. Is this Spencer Rattler again?
Yep. Spencer Rattler's back out there rattling.
Well, he looked decent for a little bit in that game, but then Todd Bowles realized in the second half he was playing against a rookie quarterback, and they never scored again.
Yeah, Todd Bowles kind of put the clamps on him, and Chris Olave went down. I don't think that can be understated in that game. He was playing pretty well till Chris Olave went down. And then Chris Olave went down and changes their whole offense.
Pretty
Chris
good player.
Olave's a hard player to lose.
It is. This is a weird game. Broncos are terrible, but they have a great defense. Saints are just kind of bad, but they have some life. Also, do you remember Dennis Allen being the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens?
No. That happened?
Did happen.
I knew he was coach of the Oakland Raiders.
Oakland Raiders, maybe? Am I on the wrong team?
Yeah, he was coach of the Oakland Raiders at one point.
Dennis. You keep going.
But I'm Broncos
He's not a
Saints.
good coach.
I'm Broncos Saints. I want nothing to do with this game. The model doesn't even want anything to do with this game. No picks from the model, no picks from me. If I'm taking anything, it's probably a lean towards the Saints because I feel like I don't know. Preseason, I would have said lean towards Saints. Now, Sean McVay's got this Broncos team playing tough football. So I
Sean
take
McVay?
that back. Sean Payton.
There we go.
Did I say McVay?
Yeah.
Okay, Sean Payton has the Broncos playing tough. Preseason, I would have said I'm leaning towards the Saints, but I want nothing to do with it. Now, after seeing the way Sean Payton's defense is playing, his O-line is playing, I'm going to take a lean towards the Broncos, but I want nothing to do with it still.
Yeah, and I think Sean Payton used to coach in the AFC or the NFC South, so he knows that division pretty well too.
Yeah, I mean, he built this Saints team.
Yeah. I'm not touching.
Ago.
Yeah, and nothing has changed since he's left as far as roster goes.
Same team.
They added Derek Carr. It's crazy. I'm not touching this game. I like the Broncos defense, but other than that, there's not a whole lot to like here. Two bad offenses. Maybe you take the under 36.5, but outside of that,
under. That is
Yeah.
a sicko under. Like,
Yeah.
you
Outside
don't
of
think
that,
this could be a 20-17 game? That's
uh,
like
yeah,
that's the third circle of hell.
it could be 2017. It could be 6-3 in the fourth quarter with back-to-back pick sixes. Then all of a sudden you're scrambling for your life in a 10-14 game.
That's a I'm desperate to feel something bet.
Yeah, yeah, I understand it. I mean, it's getting into the spooky season. Maybe this is where you tell your wife or your girlfriend or just significant other, you get the boys together, maybe you got shit for work and you're like, hey, I'm so dedicated to this relationship, I'll take off Thursday night football and we'll go do something.
Sounds like a great week to do that.
All right, next up we have Patriots versus the Jaguars in London. Doug Peterson's really, really bad. Jaguars 5.5 point favorites, 42.5 point total. Drake May looked good.
My guy Demario Douglas looked good.
Demario Douglas looked good. Jaguars had a little bit of life, kinda, at some point. Brian Thomas dropped a touchdown. Absolutely killed me. I had him for an anytime touchdown. That really broke my heart. But yeah, as soon as the Bears kind of got rolling and the Jaguars just had no response whatsoever. But that first quarter, you kind of were sitting there thinking like, hey, maybe they're back. Like that Bears defense isn't bad, and they're kind of rolling. And then they weren't, and then they just folded like a taco, and they were terrible. And I think they are terrible. Is Trevor Lawrence bad? Is Doug Peterson bad? Is the team bad? Are they just
Everything's
bad?
bad. I think everything's bad there right now. I think Doug Peterson is on his last leg here. And if there's one thing that scares me on this Jacksonville roster outside of like they have some explosive playmakers, but I don't trust their offensive structure against a defense like the Patriots, who don't be fooled. Patriots are a talented defense. Just because they can't score points doesn't take anything less, and it doesn't take anything away from their defensive talent. But their pass rush does worry me because Trayvon he's shown some real nice signs of life this year. Josh Hines Allen is a very good football player, and they have a good rotation on the edge. They have no beef up the middle, though, and their linebackers looked lost all last week. Their best linebacker got injured for the year 2 weeks ago, Foley Aluakun, and they're starting guys who just don't have a lot of experience there now in his place. So I'm just sitting here going, who the hell are the Jacksonville Jaguars to be 5.5 point favorites against anybody?
I think they get a. What do you think? Being in London for 2 straight weeks versus a team probably flying in Monday or Tuesday is worth 2 points.
Maybe 2 points. I don't even think they should be 3.5 point favorites here, though. I'm on Patriots plus 5.5. I just do not think this line makes sense.
Drake May, baby.
Yeah, Drake May he looked good. He looked good. Like
he looked good.
The Patso line is scary against this,
but he can move. He's got some mobility. I mean, Jacoby Brissett was back there just like a sitting duck. Like there's a lot to be said for a quarterback that can move around in the pocket and get the ball out. Because I mean, as bad as that Patso line is, I mean, Jacoby Brissett did not help them at all. Mm-hmm. So I think you saw that a little bit last week with Drake May starting. So yeah, the only reason why I'm avoiding this is just because of the travel and the Jaguars already being there. And you think they're going to bounce back at some point. I mean, I think the talent's there. I think they have a good running back rotation. I think Trevor Lawrence is more than capable of playing a good game. They had some bad drops, and that's the only thing that worries me. But I mean, we're 8 weeks into the season and we haven't seen it yet, or 5 or 7 weeks, whatever we are. But
they don't have true defensive tackles on their roster, like which really hurt. I mean, they have some, but they're not like true NFL caliber football players. And their linebacker injuries, plus their number one corner being out, has really killed their defense.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I can't. I got to stay away from this one. I'd probably lean Jags because when a line doesn't make sense, I tend to go to the side that it doesn't make sense on. But I guess you can make that argument for both sides. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the Jags have a real good shot at winning this game. I just don't think it'll be by more than 4.
Yeah, 5.5's a weird number too.
Yeah.
All right, next up we have Seahawks going to Atlanta to take on the Dirty Birds. Falcons are 2.5-point favorites, 50.5-point total. I actually have this game at 3, and I like Seattle going into Atlanta and keeping this thing close. I think Atlanta's kind of riding hot right now. Kirky had that 500-yard game, then he came back with a pretty good performance. It wasn't 500 yards, but played well again last week. I think the Seattle team is due for a Geno game where you just look up and you're like, holy shit, Geno has 400 yards and DK Metcalf went off for 2 touchdowns, 12 catches. Like, what is going on here? I think that's incoming, and I do like the Seattle roster a lot. I think they can travel well. They are traveling across the country, but what is this, a noon game? I really like Seattle in this spot to keep it close, and I like them to cover that 2.5, 3, that number whatever number you get it at in that range.
I think of this game like a Clint Eastwood like Western movie. It's a shootout. I see Geno slinging the ball all over the place. Even though I do like the Falcons secondary, I think their safety room is extremely talented. But I think Geno's due for a big game. I think Kirk Cousins is gonna sling it with anybody when he has to. I'm taking the over 50.5. I can make an argument for either side on this game, but I have a hard time making a strong argument for the under here. The only argument I can think of is the Falcons secondary being really good. But
Drake London's good. Darnell Mooney is good.
Darnell Mooney rules.
Kyle Pitts.
He's good.
Tyler Algier, good.
Yeah. Bijan looked like a dog last week. I gotta say.
Bijan looked like a dog. Yeah, he has his moments.
Yeah. And I think if there's one prop I like for this game, it's probably DK Metcalf, like over yards or anytime touchdown. I think DK is going to have a big game.
Darnell Mooney over catches. He's been getting the targets. Last week, I think he was at 3.5. He got 4. Week before that, I don't know what he was at, but he had 12 catches. He obviously blew past it. He's becoming a pretty big focal point in that offense.
About time.
And you're probably going to keep getting low numbers on him because who's going to bet him to have 5 or 6 catches on when you look at the roster on that offense? But, I mean, he's getting the targets. Yeah. So I love him for either targets or I know most places don't give you a targets option because it's too hard to judge on some things.
You're just going catches then.
Yeah, just catches for sure. I like him over on catch, especially if it stays around that 3.5 to 4 number that it's been at the past couple of weeks. Love that.
Dig it.
Next up, we have Titans versus Bills. Bills, 8.5-point favorites, 41.5-point total. Amari Cooper is a Bill. And Amari Cooper, when he goes to a new team, usually does pretty well. When he got drafted by the Raiders, he immediately blew up. When he went to the Cowboys, he immediately made an impact. When he went to the Browns last year, I think he was like top 3 in receiving through like the first 5 weeks of the football season last year. He thrives in a new environment. He's got Josh Allen, the cousin of Josh Hines Allen, out there slinging the rock, and they don't have a whole lot of weapons there. And why was James Cook not playing last night?
I forget what the injury was. It felt like it came out of nowhere.
It came out of nowhere. First game he's missed in his entire career. Weird, but yeah, I think the Amari Cooper addition really helps him here. And Amari Cooper is one of those guys who's like just always way younger than you think he is. I don't know how old he is, but I think he's still pretty young.
It feels like
I
he's
know
been in
he's
the league for forever.
I know he's younger than Calvin Ridley, which is crazy because they didn't even go to Alabama together.
So he's 30. He just turned 30.
Yeah, just turned 30, so definitely got some juice left in him. I'm not taking the Bills here at -8.5, but I kind of like it. I think the Titans have been really, really frisky all year, and everybody's
One
kind of
of the best defenses in the league so far.
yeah. I think everybody's looking at this Bills team being like, or this Titans team being like, man, they keep it close. Like 8.5 is a big number. I think this might be where the wheels come off for the Titans. I think the Bills might be able to get rolling in this game, and I wouldn't hate betting Bills -8.5 here. I'm not doing it, but this seems like a game where you look up at 2:30 in the afternoon and the Bills are up like 48-3.
Yeah, this is so the Titans so far, they had the Bears where the Bears couldn't move the football week 1. Then they had the Jets, who apparently had a pretty broken offense. Then they had the Packers without Jordan Love. So the Packers with Malik Willis starting, they lost that game 14-30. Then they had the Dolphins without Tua, where they wrecked shop. And then the Colts last week. This is the first time they've really played a playoff contender healthy this year, outside of week
Yeah,
1, if you want to count the Bears as that. And in
yeah,
week
the Bears.
1,
I mean, Caleb looked so bad week 1 too.
yeah, well, but that's to my point though. The Bears beat them by 7 with no offense in that game. I think this could be a game where, like you're saying, it's complete Will Levis destruction of like, oh no moments.
Especially Will Levis watching Josh Allen, thinking like
Yeah.
he's Josh Allen.
Anything you can do, I can do worse kind of
Yeah,
mentality.
I could definitely see Will Levis sitting on the sidelines being like, "Oh, I can do that."
So I'm not betting this, but if I needed to pick a side for the spread, I'm going Bills -8.5 because I could see this be a complete dismantling of the Titans offense that leads to a lot more points than the Titans defense deserves to have put on the board on them.
I also might like the over here. I think the Bills could get it by themselves. I know we're having a cold front in Texas right now, so I don't know what that does to the city of Buffalo. Basically, two different countries. But is it going to be cold there? 41.5 seems like a low. I mean, I know the Titans defense is really good, but it's like, I think the Bills can score 30
I
in
think
this
it's
game
more
pretty
about
easily.
the Bills offense has been kind of broken too.
Yes, it has.
And some of the
But
uncertainty with injuries. And this truly, I don't know where this spread is right now or where this total is right now because I made these graphics this morning.
yeah.
So that was before the Amari Cooper news broke. Let me see where it's sitting at right now.
And it's not like Amari Cooper has to go very far. I mean, what Cleveland to Buffalo is just like right across the lake, isn't it? Well, it's a big ass
Yeah,
lake. Don't get me
I mean, I
wrong.
don't
But
like relative to other travel. I don't
yeah,
think that's far. Let's see. Where is this spread?
Bills. It is at 40.5. It went down a point.
Oh, went down a
But
point. I mean, I'm kind of with you. I think the over does make some sense, but I'm staying away overall.
yeah, I mean, if Will Levis is in the game, the over is always in play.
That's true. Some pick sixes.
And I mean, he's got the arm talent to sling it down to Calvin Ridley, who hates his life. So next up, we have the Bengals versus the Browns. Browns a 5.5 point dogs, 43.5 point total. This is another game where I like the Bengals. I'm not betting it, but 5.5 point road favorite. I kind of like the Bengals here.
It's actually moved to 6.5 now.
Yeah, Amari Cooper worth a full point. Deshaun Watson is so bad. So bad. But Nick Chubb, I think he's definitely activated. I don't know if he's going to play. So maybe if they can get a run game going, Jerome Ford's out, I believe. So even if Chubb is back, they don't really have a second guy there. And Deshaun Watson's so bad. Like
And the Browns O-line is banged up too, which makes it even worse because they can't really run the football that well right now
they're
anyways. And the
just
defense
bad.
seems like they want to quit because the offense does nothing for them.
What are
Like,
the what are the odds that they end up with a top 5 pick and trade their pick with Deshaun Watson just to get rid of Deshaun Watson?
low. Because they're still going to have to eat a ton of dead cap to do that, and they might think we'd rather have the quarterback.
They would still have to eat.
pick.
They would still have to eat the cap if they traded him. If
They
the
have,
other
to eat,
team,
they have to eat like half the cap hit.
oh, because they gave him so much up front.
Yeah, they gave him a giant signing bonus.
Brutal.
So like they can't shed, like they have to eat something like $100 million if they trade him in cap.
Oh man. So they might as well just cut him at that point, right? Or they still would owe him.
Yeah, you'd be
More
better
that
off
way.
cutting him probably, but like at this point, you're just. I mean, yeah, I don't know. My point is they'd want the draft pick.
Yeah. I thought they would be improved significantly in their cap situation. We're talking about a team that threw away like Baker Mayfield, who arguably right now is a top 5 quarterback. Joe Flacco playing great ball. They had Joe Flacco for free, wanting to come back.
Next
They
year,
have
is
Jameis
some team
Winston.
just going to say Joe Flacco is our starter?
Why not?
I don't understand why not. He's
I mean,
fucking killing
you
it
look
2 years in a row.
You look across the league right now. I mean, young quarterbacks are struggling. Veterans are playing well. I mean, Tennessee Titans next year. I think Tennessee's going to win enough games to where they're not going to really be in a spot to get the quarterback they want. They've been kind of building their O-line for a while. They seem to like Tony Pollard. They have some receivers in the building, and they love their defense.
Yeah.
The
Tennessee Titans team would have won some games so far this year with Joe Flacco instead of Will
a
Levis.
lot of games. They might be undefeated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Joe
back to
Flacco's
Bengals.
elite. Bengals. We're going to look up in about 6 weeks, and the Bengals are going to have a winning record going into Baltimore. And if Baltimore doesn't keep winning, that could be a monster of a game. But yeah, I like the Bengals here to roll. I like them +5, or I like them -5.5. I'm not betting it just because it's a division rival. I think Joe Flacco is like 1-6 against the Browns in his career. He's abysmal against the Browns. Joe Burrow. He's abysmal against the Browns, but the Browns might be
this year's Browns.
Yeah, and Deshaun Watson's so bad.
Maybe you're right. I really don't care. I got this at 4.5. I like it up to 6.5. I'm taking Bengals -4.5 up to, like I said, up to 6.5. But I think this Bengals team is going to start rolling here. Like you said, I think that they are about to hit a soft spot in their schedule where stuff is starting to click for their offense. Stuff is starting to kind of click for their defense, which I think the defense can only get so good this year. But like against the Browns,
Can't get worse.
You need a lot. So Bengals to win this game by a touchdown. I don't know if the Browns can score a touchdown. So that's an easy play for me.
Yep. All right, next up we have Dolphins versus Colts in the grossest game of the week. Colts are minus
something.
Yeah, Colts are minus or 3-point favorites, a 43.5 point total. Apparently they're going back to Anthony Richardson, which I mean you have to, but do you really have to? I mean, if the goal is to win games,
I think you got to find out what you have.
You got to find out what you have, but
if you feel like you still have more to learn, then yeah, you have to. But if you feel like you know what you have,
he's only going into year 3 next year. Why not let Flacco just sit around and toss that rock, boy? Or I'm trying to think of a team that might like maybe you get some trade value out of Flacco if you play him for a couple more weeks and be like, hey man, he did it last year, he's doing it again. Like, somebody want to come get this dude? Like, I don't know. The Browns give up a first-round pick for him. just talked about it. But yeah, this game is disgusting. Have we heard anything on Tua?
Other than he's gonna come back at some point this year, supposedly. I saw something
this year. If we get a couple more weeks into this,
to come back this year.
Well, if we get a couple more weeks into the season and you're just getting killed every week, why would you bring him back this year?
Supposedly he's going to
reason.
talk to a specialist this week to get another opinion, but like
What is their
is
record right now?
one game, I think.
I can't keep up with what week we are in the season.
Week 7, so that there should be 6 games played. They're 2-3.
2-3. Okay. Well, if they pick up another win, if they're around 500, I could see it. But if he doesn't come back for 3 more weeks and they're 2-6, are you really bringing Tua back to a 2-6 team? Why?
I don't know.
Go out there, get a top end draft pick. Maybe you take a quarterback. Maybe you trust that Tua can maybe stay healthy. But I mean, there is no reason to bring him in.
I don't think that's a Dolphins decision, though. I think that's a Tua decision. Like, I think Tua is coming back. Not the Dolphins want Tua to come back. I think Tua is like, I am coming back.
They could protect him against himself and just I don't know what the rules are on that. They're like, hey, we're just gonna take away your helmet for the rest of the year, brother.
Yeah. But on this game, I don't want to bet it. I mean,
I hope I see none of this game.
Lean towards the Colts. I actually feel like the Colts might be the smart play here based on what we've seen from the Dolphins. But the Dolphins coming off a bye, I have to think Mike McDaniel found some answers, even if they're not sustainable answers.
Tyler Huntley starting
games. Like, yeah.
Maybe. I mean, he's won
football games in this league.
Yeah. He went to a Pro Bowl. Him and Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah, him and Mitch both. I want nothing to do with this game. McDaniels is going to have some answers. Whether that's enough to cover 3 feels possible against a Colts team with Anthony Richardson at quarterback. Like, it feels like they could blow him out too. I don't know.
If Anthony Richardson goes out there and puts up 40 on him, what are the odds that like the Dolphins are like, hey man, y'all just want to leave Joe Flacco here for a 5th round pick?
I don't think Joe Flacco could play behind the Miami's O-line.
All he has to throw bubble screens to Tyreek Hill.
He can do that.
Maybe. I don't know. But yeah. All right, next up we have Texans versus Packers, one of the biggest games of the week. Packers 2.5-point favorites, 47.5-point total. I like the Texans here plus 2.5. They're rolling right now. They're a good team. I think the Packers are fraudulent.
The Packers are so weird. They're like, they have such little star power on their roster, but they have so much depth and such good
keep
coaching
getting away with
that
it.
They keep getting away with it. And like, I don't know. I'm with you. I hate this number, but I like the Texans here, so I'm taking the Texans plus 2.5, which feels wrong that that's even the case. Like, I wanted to say it's my dog. I wanted to say Texans minus 2.5, but they're actually dogs here. Texans dogs. I hate betting against the Packers at Lambeau, but I have to do it.
Yeah, so I mean, Texans hosted the Bills, won by 3. Really their biggest game of the year so far. So it's tough, but I mean, I think the Texans are due for a game to like really show the league that they're up there with the Chiefs and the AFC, and I think this is going to be a statement win. And Chiefs got a tough game of their own, to where we're sitting there at the end of the week thinking that the Texans are the class of the AFC. So I like the Texans here. Might like them on the money line. Right now I just have them plus 2.5, but I might go ahead and just take that money line.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I would love to see it because I need a Packers loss for the NFC North. So that sounds great to me.
Teams in the NFC North have to lose. They're not all going to go 10-11 wins. Like,
yeah,
that ain't happening.
All right, but next up we got the Detroit Lions going to Minnesota. The Vikings are 2.5-point favorites, total of 49.5.
See, in the past, I would sniff this rat out in 2 seconds and jump all over the Vikings. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm taking the Lions. The Lions are good. The Lions are the class of the AFC or NFC North, I believe. I think the Vikings are a solid team, but there is no way in the world that they should be favored. I was expecting this to be a pick 'em to Lions -1, maybe 1.5. Vikings -3, 2.5. I mean, you're telling me on a neutral site, if they played this game in London, it would be a pick 'em. There's no way.
So. I guess so.
They say the home team's worth 3 points. Like, I don't think these two teams are close in that regard. I know they lost Aiden Hutchinson, but what are the Vikings? I mean, I don't get it.
All I know is I'm 0-3 betting against the Vikings when they were playing the 49ers, the Texans, and the Packers. So I'm flummoxed that
But they were
Brian
underdogs
Flores
and all those.
and Kevin O'Connell are fucking wizards. They're doing dark magical spells. I don't know. I don't understand it. All I know is it's worked, and they're coming off a bye, and I don't think either of those coaches get worse off a bye. So I'm staying the hell away from this spread. I'm taking the over 49.5.
One thing that bothers me about this game for the Lions, which I'm not saying this as a Cowboys fan, I'm just kind of saying this in general. Like, you kind of let the world know that was your Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care that. I mean, I was fully willing or fully expecting the Lions to put up like 40, 50 points. Like, that wasn't surprising to me, but kind of the way they did it and just like the trick plays, like I said, doesn't bother me at all. But you're one of the best teams in football. And like, maybe save a couple of those plays because those are some nice plays. Like, why are we putting that on tape against a very, very injured Cowboys that you could have ran David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs a combined 30 times and won the game by the same amount of points, and you made a cognitive decision to go out there and clown them and embarrass them, which is fine. Like I said, this isn't coming from hate. This is coming from, if you're one of the best teams in football, the best teams in football don't have to do that. Like, you kind of let the world know that you cared a little bit too much about that game. And that worries me for this game against the Vikings.
That's worried me about the Lions going back to last year. It feels like they almost feel like they need some stuff like that in their offense, which just I've always struggled a little bit with the sustainability of that. But I mean, with their O-line, I don't think they need stuff like that, but I don't know, man. They feel like they do.
Yeah, and it was just the way that, like, everything about that game just made it seem like they won their Super Bowl by beating a very bad Dallas Cowboys team.
Mm-hmm.
And you play in a really fucking tough division. So
for the record, maybe
get ready to go to Minnesota.
For the record, last year the Lions beat the Vikings 30-24 and 30-20. So both games went over 50. I think this is a very similar Vikings defense to what it was last year. I mean, I think that they have added some more variety to it. Some more, like, they went from Brian Flores 101 to Brian Flores 201. So it's like their scheme is definitely upgraded, but the players really aren't that much. And I think this Lions offense is right exactly where it was last year, if not better. So
yeah, Jamison Williams coming on. I think the offense is a little bit better. Sam Laporta in year 2.
Mm-hmm. So they put up 30 and 34 last year. I think they put up 30 again. I think the Vikings just have the firepower to keep up with that this year.
Tim Patrick has filled in that Reynolds role just fine, which was kind of the worry going in for the Lions this year. It's like you needed Jamison Williams to take the next step. Then on top of that, you needed somebody to fill that third receiver role that Reynolds played so well. Both of those have happened for him. Jahmyr Gibbs is looking better and better every week. David Montgomery looks fantastic. They're healthy on the O-line. You're healthy at tight end. I think this is a game that you, like you said, you scored 30 twice last year. I don't see why they can't do it again.
And the Vikings are they're gonna scheme Justin Jefferson against rookies. They're just going to.
Absolutely. And I mean, so the Cowboys are moving the ball with ease until Dak threw an interception, and then they just shit down their leg. But up until that point, they were kind of doing whatever they wanted against that Lions defense, which is why I like the over so much to begin with. And then they just kind of turtled on themselves as soon as they threw a pick. So, I mean, I don't think that's going to happen with the Vikings.
Sam Darnold has been – that boat's rocking. That boat's definitely rocking the last 3 weeks. But
don't come a knocking.
It's the love boat all over again.
But Aaron Jones knows this team, and Justin Jefferson's really, really good. And is the USC guy, is he
Jordan
playing?
Addison? Yeah, he's
Jordan Addison. Yeah, so I might like the over too. But
I was gonna say, am I talking you into the over? It sounds like I'm talking you into the over.
I'll take the over. Give me the over. I'm still
taking
taking Lions, but I'm taking the over as well.
All right. Next up, we got Eagles at the Giants. Giants are 3-point dogs, total of 43.5.
You want to hear something crazy?
What's something crazy?
Giants might be good.
Giants might be good. Daniel Jones, maybe he's not that bad. He's probably not as bad as he's been made out to be. Just like before that, he wasn't as good as some Giants fans wanted you to think.
Wanted him to be?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Devin Singletary, back. Malik Neighbors, back.
Officially?
I can't imagine he's going to miss 3 weeks for a concussion.
I don't know. He went to that concert, and who knows what
he
that
did. Go to Travis Scott concert. They were shooting off a lot of fireworks. Offensive line looks better. Bryce Huff, worst free agent signing in history. Eagles falling apart at the seams. I love the Giants in this game, +3 at home. I love it so much. I'm putting 5 units on it. I think 5 units. Giants are good. Eagles are bad. Jalen Hurts is bad. Nick Sirianni, bad.
You can't say that in front of his kid, though.
That's why he brings him to the press conference. They wanted to fire Nick Sirianni after a win. Okay. If you want Nick Sirianni out of town, lose to the Giants. It'll happen.
You do realize if they lost that game to the Browns the same week that the Phillies are bounced from the playoffs, the city of Philadelphia would no longer be standing.
I would love that. I would hate it for you. But I would love that.
I'd have no home.
You can come back to Texas.
Yeah, that's where I'd have to go. I'd have to. Like, my house would just be gone in the rubble.
We'll be here with arms wide open. Yeah. No, I think city of New York's riding hot. I mean, we might have a Mets-Yankees World Series. The only NFL team that plays in New York, the Buffalo Bills, are playing really good football. So, yeah, the state of New York's hot right now. So I'm going to take the New Jersey Giants +3.
I can dig it. I mean, I'm not betting it. I'm not touching this game. But if I was, I'd consider Giants. I mean, I
know NFC East.
Which is kind of wild when you think about the difference in talent between these two teams. But, like, the Giants kind of have a bit of a vibe going here. Even though they only scored really 7 points last week, but getting Neighbors back is so huge.
Darius Slayton's a dog. The Tyrone Tracy is a dog.
Yeah, Tyrone Tracy's a freaking monster of a runner. I mean, he's just athletic as all get out.
And
but
then
really, it's the D line. Like, Like Dexter
Defensive
Lawrence
line,
against Cam
dog.
Jurgens has to be a bit of a concern. Like Dexter Lawrence against any O line is a bit of a concern, but
Ron Burns,
Jurgens
2.5 sacks
isn't
last
what
week.
Kelsey was. So like it's a different world that the Eagles O line is living in right now.
Brian Burns, 2.5 sacks last week. Looked really good.
And that the tackles I'm not as worried about, but like I think you can attack Cam Jurgens on Philly's O line right now with Dexter Lawrence.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love the Giants in this game.
5 units.
5 units. All right, maybe the second grossest game this week, but we have the Tom Brady owned Raiders versus the Los Angeles Rams. Rams 6.5 point favorites. 43.5 point total. I don't know if the Rams should be 6.5 point favorites against anybody, but if they are 6.5 point favorites against anybody, probably going to be the Raiders.
Yeah, that's about right.
So, are the Raiders just Max Crosby at this point?
Basically, that's what it feels like. I mean, it's Max Crosby and Max Crosby. I'm trying to think of who else I really like on that roster, and I'm kind of drawing a blank.
Yeah,
Trevon Moehrigg's a good safety.
Yeah,
they got Jackson Powers Johnson, and
do have Jackson
Colton Miller.
Johnson.
Colton Miller's good.
Colton Miller's good. They got the kid out of Tech who hasn't been good.
Tyree Wilson, yeah.
Tyree Wilson. He needs a culture change. Yeah, I don't know. Everybody in the world wants the Raiders to move Max Crosby. Max Crosby is acting like he'll never leave. I don't know what's going.
They shouldn't trade him. It would be a mistake.
How? I don't know. I mean, they don't.
And I
have
always say, like, I don't think them
them
trading Khalil Mack was a mistake, but I think that like Max Crosby has the frame to play in this league for 30 years. Feels like when you win with power the way that he does with long arms that consistently controls the rep, your health is much more likely to sustain throughout your career. I think he's going to be playing for a long, long time, and he can fit whatever window as long as you plan accordingly. So to me, Max Crosby is a player that you should not trade. And if you will, just send him to Chicago.
Yeah, my only thing about it is Mark Davis, is he a GM? Is he their GM, or do they have a GM? Or is he to do the Jerry Jones thing?
I don't think he's technically GM there. I think they have someone else, but who knows what type of power that means.
My only thing is, like, if you're uncertain about your future for the team and you have nobody, it kind of goes both ways. Go out and get what you can for him, but if you don't trust the people making the decisions, then what are more picks? But if you have a clear idea of what you want to do and what you want to build, and you trust the person making the decisions, maybe you do go get those picks. So, I mean, I think it goes both ways. I get what you're saying. And the cap's going up 20 million next year. So it's like every year the cap goes up, the cheaper paid superstars get. But I mean, if I'm Max Crosby, as soon as that cap goes up, I'm wanting more money, especially if I'm in Oakland on that team. So I don't know. I mean, it's like I said, I think it goes both ways. It just depends on what you think about the future and who you have. If somebody offers you a first, a third, and like a future second, like, you don't do that.
Starts at 2-1s.
Yeah, I know 2-1. You think it starts at 2-1s? I think 2-1s gets it done.
I mean, I don't think I'm accepting less than 2-1s. Maybe I'm sending something back with those 2-1s, but I need 2-1s to make the deal work. And even then, I'm still not sure it's the right decision.
I don't know. It's one of those things, but I don't really have a lot to say about this game. I mean, it's gross, but yeah.
If I'm leaning anywhere on this game, Raiders, Rams 6.5 point favorites, I'm leaning towards the Rams. because Sean McVay is Sean McVay, and Matt Stafford's still Matt Stafford. Coming off a bye, like there's
Have you noticed
reason to believe they're going to figure shit out, but I don't want to touch it because they're so devoid of talent with the injuries right now that it's like I know I trust Sean McVay to figure shit out, but like I don't know how much can be figured out with how injured they are right now.
I don't know how much you're on the internet and stuff, but have you noticed that there's like everybody's kind of shifting again on Matt Stafford, like acting like he's just like a average quarterback, which is crazy. Like I
It's
thought we
insane.
were over that. Like
It's insane.
he's a Hall of Famer, and I thought this discussion had been cleared up and everything, and then this season I've just been seeing it everywhere about how Sean McVay can win with anybody. Look what he's doing with Stafford, all this stuff. And I'm like, how did we get back to this? Like, Stafford's really fucking good.
Yeah.
Is it just because Jared Goff's good
insanely
in
awesome.
Detroit?
No, it's just that the standards of what exists in the NFL is rewritten daily by the fans on Twitter. You know, like that's the way the NFL works. It's you are what you are today, according to the internet, and there's no room for nuance or gray area within that.
It's crazy. But yeah, that's all. I mean, I thought we were respecting Matt Stafford, and now we're having to defend him again. So
Matt Stafford still rules. Like,
yeah,
I don't think Kyron Williams and Puka Nacua are the names that we know them as if Matt Stafford is not the
there are nobodies. Next up, Panthers versus Commanders. Commanders 7.5-point favorites, 51.5-point total. Commanders are going to walk their way through an 11-win season. I don't know if anybody in that NFC East can keep up with them. I don't know if they'll be a good 11-win team, but they have a very good schedule for them, playing a lot or last place, second to last place. Either way, pretty easy schedule. Really, really injured NFC East, and I think they roll the Panthers here. I think they keep it hot. I think Jaden Daniels stays hot. Wouldn't be surprised if he throws about 3 or 4 touchdowns, and they absolutely roll here. I'm not taking the Commanders here because I don't like the hook, and I don't like that high of a number for a team that I don't think is as good as they're playing. I think they're playing incredibly well, don't get me wrong. I just don't know how good they actually are. And Jonathan Allen's out for the season, tore his pec. But Panthers are bad. Andy Dalton had a little bit of juice. I think that juice is all but gone now. They squeezed every bit they could out of him. Also, I saw Bryce Young standing next to Andy Dalton without a helmet on, and like he doesn't look that small. Like, why does he look so small when he's in the game? But then he's standing next to Andy Dalton. They're both standing up without helmets on. They look relatively the same size, and Andy Dalton looks 3 times as big out there on the field. Is it just like a presence thing?
Are you sure Dalton was standing?
That's true.
I mean, I haven't seen this picture. I just know every time I've seen them next to each other, my first thought has been, man, that guy's small.
Well, and what's his name? The quarterback, Bryce Young. He did have his hair picked out without a helmet on. So
okay,
maybe he got me with a camera angle too.
Maybe, but for this game, I mean, I agree with pretty much everything you said. I don't think the Commanders are as talented as their record is, but they're running on vibes and feels and chemistry right now, and that's a hard thing to judge. I always have a hard time judging that, so I'm generally staying away from them. For the record, this is the model's favorite pick of the week. The model set this spread at like 18. Like it outrageously
thinks it feels like it should be a double-digit spread.
The Panthers, and I kind of think so too, but at the same time, I think the Commanders are gonna hit a point this year where it's like, oh shit, we're not as good as we think we are, and overlook somebody. So like that scares me enough.
They could definitely overlook somebody. Is Brian Robinson playing this game?
I'm not sure.
If he is, I like him more. He's been incredible this season. Austin Eckler looks fast too. I am shocked by how good Austin Eckler looks in that offense.
Maybe you got some of Michael Jordan's secret stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea, but yeah, it's shocking.
I bet you one thing. Bet you got drug tested this week.
I bet he did too.
But strong lean to the
Michael Jordan?
Commanders, but I'm not taking it.
All right, game of the week. We have Chiefs versus 49ers. 49ers, 1.5-point favorites, 47.5-point total. Don't think about it. Take the Chiefs on the money line. I thought about it earlier. Then as soon as I thought about it, I was like, why am I thinking about it? I'm taking the Chiefs. Chiefs are winning games this year. They're not doing it in a pretty way. And they've been kind of coasting. And then you go look at who they've played and who they've beat. And you're like, oh, they beat every team that you think is good. Like, they're just inevitable. They're going to hit a stride at some point. And I think this is a game where you just don't think about it. You take the Chiefs.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to say on this. You give me Pat Mahomes at plus money, I take it.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, beat the Ravens, they beat the Bengals, they beat the Falcons, Chargers, Saints, but coming off a bye week, I think Andy Reid is like the greatest coach of all time off a bye. I think he's undefeated, if I'm not mistaken. I know he was a couple of years ago.
Undefeated?
Off a bye.
Really?
I think so.
Oh my God. That's like 25 years.
Yeah, I know he was a couple of years ago, but I want to say they lost to the 49ers coming off a bye like 2 or 3 years ago. No. Are the Chiefs playing the NFC West this year, or did they just get the 49ers for their extra game? Do you know that off the top of your head?
I've got their schedule pulled up. Let me see.
No, they play the Buccaneers and they play the Panthers, so they just caught the 49ers for their extra game. Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago. I think they played the 49ers off a bye and lost, and it was the first time he had lost. But he's fantastic off a bye.
Yeah, but I mean, this game is simple for me. You give me Andy Reid, Pat Mahomes, and that Chiefs defense at plus money, I take it.
And also, in this game, I am taking under 47. The Chiefs got to 47 week 1 against the Ravens, 51 against the Bengals, 39 against the Falcons, 27 versus the Chargers, and 39 versus the Saints. I think they're playing good defense right now. I think this game goes under 47. They're not scoring a lot of points, but they're playing good. Patrick Mahomes is going to take care of the football at some point. I think he's thrown a pick in every single game this year. That's not going to continue. You can just look at his track record. That's not going to continue. I think this game, I think it could stay close. I think we could see a 20-17 game or something here. But 47 points is a lot of points, and I don't know if the Niners have enough firepower to get up in that mid-20 range. And I think the Chiefs are completely content with playing a 20-17 ball game. So I really, really like the under here.
You want to get spicy throwing Justin Watson over 17.5 receiving yards.
You love Justin Watson over 17.5 yards.
I'm just going to say that every Chiefs game.
Is that
every single
number?
Chiefs game? No, I made that up.
Oh, okay. Let's say that's kind of a high number. So the Chiefs have not got a receiver yet. Do they get a receiver? Do they get a DeAndre Hopkins? Do they get a Calvin Ridley? Do they get who else is out there? A Tyreek Hill? Imagine Tyreek Hill on that Chiefs offense.
I can't. It's impossible.
Yeah. You don't think they go get a receiver, though?
No, I don't.
They don't care.
History says they won't. I mean, I feel like every year the last 3 years, that has been the question, and they have never done it. So I don't know why they would this year.
Because Juju's out. Juju Smith-Schuster is just going to go out there and catch 12 balls for 137 yards and a touchdown.
Right. Like, why would they spend capital on going and getting one when Juju just it doesn't seem relevant.
And Travis Kelce's going to hit a stride. We lost our running back. We have Clyde Edwards-Helaire on IR.
I could see them trading for a running back.
For reasons.
I could see them trading.
Who's trading a running back this year, though?
Oh, they could get Khalil Herbert from the Bears for nothing.
Yeah, you could go get a guy like that, but I mean, Kareem Hunt's look good.
Yeah, but you need a little depth.
Well, you're gonna get Clyde Edwards-Helaire back maybe at some point. I don't know what he's going through in his personal life, but I think he's healthy.
Yeah, I mean, but maybe you don't. So that's
Yeah.
all I'm saying is I could see them making a move for a running back more than a receiver, even just because I don't. History says they don't care.
I could also just say it. I'm like going. Patrick Surtain got paid, didn't he? Or has he gotten paid?
He got paid.
Oh, okay. I was trying to think of like a really, really good DB that like nobody's even thinking about it. Then all of a sudden, like, oh, he's a Chief for a 3rd round pick. Like,
maybe.
But yeah, that seems like it would be a move. But yeah, I'm really excited for that one.
Yeah, maybe like a Greg Newsome from Cleveland.
At this point, Cleveland, they got to just trade everybody, right?
Yeah, I mean that's why I'm saying it. Like
Yeah.
maybe they're just fire sailing it, and the Chiefs and Spags is like, yeah, I'll take him.
Yeah, I would like to have him on my team. All right, next up we have Jets versus Steelers. Steelers 1.5-point dogs, 37.5-point total. Apparently they might be playing Russ this week. Why?
They are, I think.
Is it officially?
I mean, I don't
Russ?
know if they made it official, but I don't know why they would put this out there if they weren't.
Has Justin Fields lost the job? What has he done to lose the job?
His tape has looked like shit the last 2 weeks. I mean, his numbers have been good. Supposedly, I haven't sat down and grinded the tape, but I've heard that his tape has been like really ugly the last 2 weeks. And I'm not saying that they should bench him. All I'm saying is I think Mike Tomlin, Arthur Smith might have an idea here of what the Jets defense can do to Justin Fields and saying, we're just going to sidestep that and not let it happen.
And we're just going to let Russ go out there and be Russ and
cook.
And then we'll just put Justin Fields back in next week.
Yeah, I mean, I really think that might be their approach here of like, you know, this Jets defense is pretty good. They can put the vice grips on Justin, so we're gonna alternate. Then we might go right back to Justin when we face a defense that's best for him, and we're just gonna find our way to 10 games in the playoffs.
Yeah. Speaking of a guy that might end up somewhere else here in the next couple of days, Mike Williams on the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure he is dead to Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, they told him to go look for a trade, I think.
Oh, did they?
I thought I saw that this afternoon that they were open to trades or like told his agent that they could seek a trade or something like that.
What do you think he's worth? 7th rounder?
Not much. I mean,
remember when he had like 12 touchdowns through like 6 weeks a couple of years ago, and everybody's like, fucking Mike Williams.
He was a monster, man. But like those big physical receivers like that who don't create a lot of separation or win with like speed or separation, they don't tend to age very well. You know, those guys, they fall off a cliff real fast. Like Allen Robinson was kind of like that, where it's like he just boom, gone. Doesn't matter what you did. You're not good anymore.
Oh man, I remember Allen Robinson signing with the Rams like 4 years ago, being like, "This is it. He's back, baby."
First time he ever had a good quarterback, and then it just falls off a cliff.
He's old. Yeah, I don't. Steelers are one of those teams that can win this game, and it would be hilarious if the Jets miss the playoffs completely after all this. And so I kind of just want it for the memes, but I'm not betting this game. But this is a game the Steelers win, right?
I'm staying away from it.
It just feels like a Steelers win.
I feel like if I'm going to bet anything on this game, it's probably the over 37.5, just because this feels like a game the Steelers win, but it also feels like an Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams reunion legacy game, where it's just like they just do shit because they're simpatico. So like I'm not betting the spread. I'm probably not betting the total, but if I am going to bet it, it's going to be over 37.5 because I think it will be some points on the board.
Yep. And then we have 2 Monday Night Football games next week.
Yeah, I think so.
What? I thought they stopped doing that after once bye week started. I don't understand.
Someone paid them more money.
Well, we have Ravens versus the Buccaneers. Buccaneers at home, 3.5-point dogs, 48.5-point total. I am taking the over in this game over 48.5. I think this could be a shootout. This is a battle of MVPs. It's looking like Baker is looking like the best quarterback in the league here lately versus the two-time. And I like points here. I don't know what happens in this game. We thought we were going to get points in the Ravens-Commanders game. We didn't get points. I think this makes up for it in every way possible. And Mark Andrews, anytime touchdown, is going to hit again.
I'm avoiding this one. I don't like it. I don't like the number. I don't like I mean, I can see the over. I actually do like that a little bit, but as far as the spread goes, I'm
not touching
like
that spread.
the Bucks are such a high variance team, and versus when they're playing bad teams versus good teams. Right now, they're on a big high, and I don't know. But then they can come out of nowhere and beat a good team because they're just frisky like that. So I'm not touching it. I don't know what to expect from the Bucks. I feel like the Ravens are a team who can. Their defense is not what it was last year, so I feel like any given week it can be a shootout for Lamar, or it can be like this offense just plays into what we want to do and we're going to shut them down. I just don't have strong expectations. I don't sit here and watch enough film on either of these teams to feel confident in anything I'm going to put out there. So I'm staying away.
Mm-hmm. And last but not least, we have the Los Angeles Chargers going to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. Cardinals 2.5-point dogs at home, 43.5-point total here. I didn't bet this one. I must have just missed it. I like the Cardinals in this spot, but Harbaugh kind of terrifies me. I don't know what to think about this Chargers team right now. They can run the football really well. Justin Herbert looks good sometimes, and other times he doesn't look good. And the Charger fan out there that tried to kill me all summer is probably going to be so upset that I said that, but that's okay. This is a weird game with a weird line. I lean Cardinals at home, but is Marvin Harrison Jr. out? Is that confirmed?
I think I thought he was, or he was at least questionable.
Yeah, and they haven't been doing a really good job of getting him the ball in the first place. So if he's out, it kind of changes it for me a little bit. But I'm staying away from this one. Cardinals look good early on, and there's just something missing there. I think it's just they're not very talented.
It's their D line.
They got some. They got some friskiness to them. They got some life to them. But this Chargers team is kind of just built exactly how Harbaugh wants to build a team, where you can go out there and you can muck it up and you can make any game ugly and win ugly. And it's kind of what they're doing. So 2.5 is a weird line. I'm avoiding this one, especially Monday night. It's just.
I'm waiting for it to get to 3. I'm waiting for it to get to 3. It's still a 2.5. It's minus 102 at Cardinals plus 2.5. So I think it's going to kick to 3. Once it gets to 3, I'm taking Cardinals here because I do like the Cardinals at home. They covered a lot there last year. They haven't started out the season as good at covering at home, but I think they'll get there. And I just think they're a frisky team at home, and the Chargers are a bit vulnerable of a team. They're a team who, they beat the crap out of the Raiders last week, but I think the Cardinals are a lot more talented team than the Raiders. So even without MHJ, I think I'm still taking Cardinals because I trust this coaching staff. I just trust the Arizona coaching staff more than I maybe should. But Cardinals plus 3 sounds good to me once it gets there, but it's not on my board yet because I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah. All right. College football. I like about 20 bets this weekend. I narrowed it down to 5. So, starting off, the Purdue Boilermakers at home versus Oregon. Oregon coming off one of the biggest wins they've had in a very long time at home versus Ohio State, are going to go to Purdue. I might
West
I
Lafayette.
might sprinkle the slightest little sprinkle on this Purdue money line, but I'm taking Purdue plus 28 in this spot. This is a game that Oregon loses historically, and Purdue always seems to have a top 5 win at the end of the season where you're like, how in the hell did they win that game? Oregon's got to go across the country to Purdue. Teams in the Big Ten have not been very good when traveling east to west to east. So 28 points is a monster spread. Purdue might be the worst team in the Big Ten, and I would not be surprised if you look up in the fourth quarter and this is a 7-point game. Moving on. Miami's just begging and waiting to lose. I have Louisville at home plus 5 versus Miami. Louisville's let me down a couple of times already this year, but I think this Miami team, it's not when they're going to lose. It's not if they're going to lose, it's when. And you give me Louisville, a pretty talented team at home, plus 5. I'll take that. Next, I have Texas minus 3 versus Georgia. I know a lot of people are going to be on Georgia this weekend. This Texas team is for real. I don't know what this Georgia team is. They look like shit against Alabama in the first half. Second half, played better, came back, got a lead, gave up the lead, lost the game, but they didn't look great against Kentucky. I don't think Kentucky's all that good. Kentucky went out and lost to Vandy last week. Vandy also beat Bama. I think a lot of these teams that are playing it close and beating other SEC teams, I think that's a little bit of SEC bias. Just so many teams ranked so highly early in the season. I think Texas is the real deal. I think they're the best team in the country. I think they take care of business at home. I like them minus the 3. Next up, Rutgers at home versus UCLA. Same reason or not the same reason. I think Rutgers are actually a good team, but UCLA going all the way to New York. Give me Rutgers at home. Good physical team. I don't think them UCLA boys are gonna be able to handle it. I think Greg Schiano and them boys at Rutgers get it done. Last but not least, I have Nebraska going to Indiana, keeping it close, covering the 6.5. I think Indiana is good. I think Indiana can win this game. I wouldn't be surprised if Indiana is undefeated going into the Ohio State game. But I think Nebraska can definitely keep this thing close within a field goal. So give me Nebraska plus 6.5 for my 5 bets.
All right, then starting off for me tomorrow night, Western Kentucky at Sam Houston State. Give me Sam Houston State minus 2.5. Then Oklahoma State going to BYU. Those boys up on the mountain have been playing good football, but give me OK State plus 9.5. Nope. No, I'm pretty sure you're going to dislike almost every one of my bets this week based on your slate, and I knew you were big on BYU. But next one,
I'm not really as big on BYU as that. I think this Oklahoma State team is really bad.
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. And
but I think BYU. I was really big on
little about college football. So, full disclosure, Jay is the one to listen to. I'm just throwing darts at the board.
So I was really big on BYU at the beginning of the season. Now that they're undefeated, I think they might be getting a little overvalued. So 9 is a wild number. That's why I didn't bet it. If it would have been closer to it probably would have been like a 4 or 5 point game if BYU had slipped up to this point. But that undefeated and that ranking next to them. But Oklahoma State's so bad.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
Next one, I got going against Jay. I got Nebraska at Indiana. I'm taking Indiana minus 6.5. I can't explain to you why against Jays, but hey, Hoosiers, baby. Gene Hackman, let's go. Next one, Alabama at Tennessee. I'm taking the under 56.5.
I almost did the same thing.
And the Tennessee money line.
Both offensives look so out of sync. I don't know what's going on in Tennessee with Josh Heupel. That defense is playing rock solid right now. And Nico is making some throws there, but yeah, it seems like they're scared to let him really sling it, but at the same time, sometimes when they let him sling it, it doesn't look good either. Like, I feel like they're playing they're playing scared. It looks like, and
that's how it felt. Like I didn't watch.
I really like the under.
I was paying attention to the box score last week, and it seemed like they were playing scared, like they were holding him back, and then when they let him rip it, it started to go. But at plus 122, I'm not going to bet against Tennessee here.
Yeah.
If it was to flip, I'd probably be taking Bama. And a part of that is because I'm betting 2 dogs this week who I think are powerhouse programs. Give me Georgia over Texas at plus 156. I think it is 142 plus 142. Or I'm sorry, Georgia over Texas. I think I messed that up. Give me Georgia over Texas at plus 142.
Yeah, I mean Georgia hasn't lost to anybody except Alabama in the last 3 years. I think anytime you take Georgia to win a game, it's not a bad bet.
Yeah. So that's all I got for college.
All right.
All right. That wrap us up.
That'll wrap us up. Hell of a slate this weekend. I'm so excited. Thank you all for listening. Remember to like and subscribe wherever you're watching. Let us know what your favorite bet of the week is. If you feel so inclined, you can go to chevy-points.com. Drop a little donation for the boys. Let us keep the boys in business.
All your dreams will come true.
All your dreams will come true. Thank you so much. And do not sleep on them Arizona Cardinals. The Dirty Birds.
Caca.
Caca.
That's how we've won all year, team, right? Hey, you held them to 20 points, man.
Yes,
you
sir.
gave us a chance at the end. I got 3 words for you. You like that?